Hello and welcome to another episode of Conley on the Colts. I'm your host as always, Mike Conley. On today's episode this is actually my first attempt at video podcasting. So if anyone's interested in watching on YouTube, I'm on YouTube at Conley on the Colts. The audio of this video will still be on, or if you're listening, in your car or whatever, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your stuff, it'll be the audio of these videos. I'm just gonna try to start doing. I know a lot of people like to watch video podcasts, so it's something I'm getting into. Warning: there's a learning curve. I mean, there's a bunch of different programs I'm trying to learn and things like that. So bear with me. I've been slacking on making content. It's just I'm trying to expand, different avenues of this podcast and things. Just trying to pick up stuff as I go. So, but with that being said, on today's episode, I wanted to do a reaction video of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard's press conferences at the combine the other day. I believe this is Wednesday when they did these. So, like I said, I'm a little bit behind, but trying to catch up. So I believe we'll do Shane's first, and then we will do Ballard's. Again, these are programs that I'm not used to using, so learning curve, but I'm getting there. So let's see. All right, so this will be Shane's first.
Do you feel like there's not enough hours in the day when you think about you want to attack this thing full bore, but knowing you can't build it all in one day?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I gotta make myself known of that. I'll be working some late hours, and sometimes I'm not getting a lot of sleep. But it's starting to slow down, obviously here after the first 2 weeks. But it's been good.
How much, when you're thinking about your future, potentially becoming a head coach, you think about what it will look like and how you'll go about it. Do you have much of a plan in place, and has it looked like you thought it would look?
Yeah, exactly. I think you guys heard it the first time I talked. It's just the vision, the core values that I believe in, the pillars, and I think you got to hold true to those things, right? The character, the preparation, the consistency, being relentless about it, and it's not just talking about it. You got to live it every single day, making sure the coaches are on the same page, so they're feeding that to the players, and the players are buying into what you're believing. But we know it's going to take time. It ain't an overnight thing. Like, you got to do it every single day. You got to be relentless in your pursuit.
You said you guys will announce the coaching staff when it's done. Reggie coming back?
Reggie will be back. Excited about Reggie. Reggie, obviously, 14 years playing career, a legend for Indianapolis. Had some really good conversations with Reggie, very detailed, brings great wealth of knowledge into that receiver room.
That's fantastic. I was hoping Reggie would come back. I think he did a great job with Alec Pierce last year. He had great development. And again, keeping the same coach says a lot to, these different players having some continuity with them, not starting over all the time. And I think Reggie did a really good job with all the receivers. So again, that was his first year coaching, and that, he's just going to get better. So I'm glad they kept him on. And that's another thing is I will be making a video here very soon with all the coaching changes, the hires, people they've kept, things of that nature, just on that as well.
What part of the combine tells you the most about quarterback prospects?
You know what? I think obviously, them being on the field, I think just to get that second look of them throwing on that grass, you know what I mean? I think their body movements, their functional movements, to see that. Obviously, they'll have their pro days. The receivers will have their pro days. But just to get that extra look, as much as, we can see these guys in person, I think it helps the league. I think it helps the evaluation process, too.
Do you have any issue with the fact that Bryce isn't throwing?
No, I don't. I think most guys, have their deal where they want to throw or don't throw. Does that affect the process? No. But I think if the guys do throw, I don't think that's a make or break for me. Obviously, they're throwing to guys they haven't thrown to, and they're going to miss throws. That's not going to be a big factor to me, to where if a guy misses 2 or 3 throws, that we're not going to draft a guy because of that. I think more than anything for me, it's just to see their arm motion, their fundamentals, their technique on how they're doing it.
Shane, because you've got so much on your plate, staff and this, Will you lean more on Chris and his staff on re-signing free agents? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through that process right now. Obviously, we'll work through that in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Shane, when you had your opening presser, I think you said, I don't want to misquote you, you said you were going to throw to score, run to win, I think. Yes. Can you elaborate on that? Is that a philosophical thing, or just, I guess, can you elaborate?
Yeah, I do. I think in this league, you got to be able to throw to score points. I really do. I think you look at the teams that are explosive around the league that score a lot of points, you know, throw it often, you know, and then when you get some of these leads, you know, then you can start running.
I mean, that's very true. Look at Philadelphia last year, for instance. Yeah, Jalen Hurts he's a dual threat quarterback, and he did run into the end zone a lot, but they really threw the ball and scored some freaking points, man. So I'm with him on that. Like, that's something we've missed, you know, especially for last year. We did not have that.
To win. That's kind of the philosophy there, without getting into too much detail and telling people how I want to call a game. But yeah, I can tell you guys off the record.
This has been a run-heavy team, and they've been good at that, you know, at times. How much does that factor into, you know, how you govern?
Again, like I said, I mean, I've had visions of what I want it to look like, and that could flip in a hurry, you know, by the flow of the game. You know, we went in, I don't remember what it was. We ran it 45 times, but it's like, oh, we're going to throw it, and we started pounding, and it was like, okay, they're not stopping the run. Like, what? Let's not fix something that ain't broke. Like, let's keep going.
Is that kind of how it works for your offense as a whole, too? Because whenever you talk about your offensive philosophy, you say it's built around the players. So you could go in thinking one thing and the players change it? Who you guys have?
Well, yeah, I think the adjustment, you know, obviously going into a game, like, we got to do a heck of a job of making adjustments on the sidelines. You know, you could be going into a game thinking the defense is going to play a certain way, and then they flip on you and play completely different. We as coaches got to do a great job of, you know, flipping our minds and putting our guys in position to make plays and getting those corrections made on the sideline so they can be successful.
How much of a say will you have, or do you want, in this selection at the top of the draft? If you guys go quarterback, you know, you're not a scout, but also this is the guy that you guys want to build around hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically, again, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. Yeah, we're not going to play. You'll get to know me really well. I'm not going to do those things, but yeah, we'll work through all those.
Shane, what did you want in the O-line hire?
You know what?
That's pretty interesting. You know, like that reporter said, he's not a scout, and Ballard and his scouts have done a very good job on different positions over the years in the draft to get great guys, you know, especially late round, and, you know, but this is the year that they're going to have to focus on quarterback, and it's going to be very interesting to see who they have up there, who they select, you know, the order of the quarterbacks, if they're going to go up, if they're going to stay. And it seems like a pretty good room to be in as far as evaluating quarterbacks with Shane in there as well. So it'll be interesting.
But I wanted a guy that was very detailed and understood the game and is going to hold those guys accountable. I think just from the interview process, again, just like, you know, Chris and his staff was very thorough in the hiring of the head coach process. My process of hiring coaches is the exact same way, and I'm not going to get into details and specifics of what that is, but they were grueling interviews, and there's a lot of good candidates that we interviewed, and I'm excited about the one that we're getting.
That'll be another video that I got coming up here soon, is all the coaching hires, and you know, there's been quite a few coaches hired, coaches staying and leaving, and things of that nature. So that'll be another one that comes out here very soon. I plan on having a coaching video soon and a free agency video very soon, with that coming up as well. So just be on the lookout for those.
You mentioned Drew Brees and his size, but he's kind of one of one. There's not a lot of guys.
Agreed.
Sub 6 foot.
Agreed.
Can you coach around a guy's lack of size, or what's your general view of quarterbacks who don't have that 6'3"?
Yeah, again, you got to do a really good job, you know, from their physical skill set, whether they're bigger or taller. Like, you know, some of maybe the 6 foot guys, you might need to move the pocket a little more with those guys, you know. But Brees had an unbelievable knack of finding those little subtle movements in the pocket and finding those windows. Like, that was part of his DNA, which made him a really good player. So as coaches, you got to find out what those guys do really well, again, and put them in position to make plays.
As a quarterback, how much of a head coach's success is dependent on who your quarterback is.
I mean, it's a big part of it. Is it the end all be all? No, but it is a big part of it. I mean, obviously, every single position is important on this team, and it's not just the quarterback, right? The offensive line, the defensive line, the linebackers, the corners, the DBs, the receivers, the tight ends. We all, it's a team thing. It's all about us. It ain't about a single individual. It's about the team.
We know your experience with working with Rivers, Herbert, Hurts, but over the course of your career, how much studying have you done of other quarterbacks? You're talking about Drew Brees, just of those other guys and some of the traits that made them great quarterbacks.
Just watching those guys, I obviously being around in the processing ability that Phillip had and Jalen and Justin, how they processed the information and saw it. I think the best ones just have a natural feel too. Like some guys could be robotic, but those guys all had a feel and saw it, and that accelerated vision was like, boom, oh, it's not there, boom, tailback, I'm going to take my completion and keep those things moving. I think all those guys that are really good have that natural feel to play the game. And that's just not just the quarterback. I think it's the receivers, having that feel in dead spots and zone coverage. It's the tight ends. It's all the backs, seeing the hole and being patient and then hitting the hole. Like some of those things you can't coach, and I think when you can find that and those certain players, that's when it can be special.
Shane, quarterbacks are it's a very unique position, right?
Yeah.
Is coaching quarterbacks also a very unique
Yeah,
type of job?
I do. I think you got it. I mean, I think certain players, you got to coach differently at that position. I mean, am I going to sit there and scream and yell at the quarterback? Yeah. I mean, if it needs to happen in a certain way, yeah. But that's a very, position specific that you got to be smart there and how they process, because there's a lot on their plate, and you don't want them going out there going, oh, shoot, coach yelled at me all the time, and then their brain's going to be out. So you got to create those relationships with those guys, see what makes them tick, see how their brain works, and then go from there.
Okay, that was Shane's. Ballard's will be next, but he seems like he's in a lot different headspace, obviously, than the last time I saw him, which was the podium for when he got hired as head coach. Obviously, it's a big day for him there, very emotional, and that was great to see. But it seems like he's all business. He's ready to go. He's ready to find probably this quarterback that this franchise is going to need. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes in the next couple weeks leading up to the draft in April. But so I like it. I like he said some good stuff. I think it seems like he's a great coach of quarterbacks, really. I mean, from all of his previous quarterbacks he's worked with, he's done a great job. Each one of them's been better since he was there. So, all right, we'll see what Ballard has to say.
Chris, we expect Matt Ryan to be on the team this year?
We'll work through it with Shane. I'll work through it. We're just getting the staff settled. We'll start working through things next week.
We've shown a lot.
I don't think Matt Ryan can be on this team next year. I mean, I know you're going to take some hit, cutting him, but you're going to take even more keeping him. I believe if they cut him, they save something like $22 million. So, I mean, he's going to take some money from him for sure, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But I do not think that he will be on this team next year.
A lot of restraint in the last couple of years. You've always talked about, I'm not going to jump for need, or I'm not going to force the position. But this is different. You've gone through the veteran route with quarterbacks. We all know the elephant in the room. How do you balance that with not forcing it?
That's good, and that's because human nature knows that, like, if all of a sudden, let's just say we stay at 4, and I can just see the headlines, but at the end of the day, we got to believe in who we're taking, that we're going to win with him. And I think I said this a few years ago, like it would.
Sorry, I apologize. I had to look that up. It's if they cut Matt Ryan, they will be saving $17.2 million. I said 22, so my apologies on that. I wanted to clarify.
It'd be easy for us just to take one to get y'all off our ass, but we got to be right. We got to be right, and we want to be right. So we'll do our due diligence, and at the end of the day, we'll take who we think is the best player.
We've all asked a bunch about quarterback, but defensive end, Yannick's a free agent. Taekwon's coming off the injury. How much is getting depth at that position and improving that position a focus this offseason?
Well, we're always want to have depth, okay? And we need to do a good job of making sure we got an 8-9-man rotation. Really like how Quiddy and Dio came on. And so I do think that those two kids are really, they're still young players and they're starting to come on. Of course, we're going to continue to add and look to add. Yannick ended up having a really good year for us, last year, and it was great to have.
Yeah, Quiddy and Dio have come on very well. Quiddy's had a little bit of an injury bug here and there. Dio is looking very good. I like him a lot. That was a great pick by them. And Yannick, he was very solid. I feel what do you have? 10 and a half sacks on the year, 11. But he was overplayed. They didn't have a great rotation. They didn't have, with Tyquan Lewis going down. He was overplayed, didn't do great in the run, and most of his sacks, they kind of did come from covered sacks, but he still had 10 and a half sacks. So if they can bring him back on a cheap enough deal, he said he wanted to build around Indianapolis. He was very good off the field, did a lot of stuff for the community. So it'd be cool to see him come back if they can get him for the right deal. But they definitely need to add depth and try to find some guys.
Having here in Indy, we'll see what happens going forward. But we'll continue to always try to have 8-9 defensive linemen that we can roll in and out.
After the season, you said you were going to look at everything. Do you anticipate the possibility of letting go of some veterans to carve out some space?
We'll work through that. Yeah, we'll work through that. We got it, and even though they're vets, they've been great Colts, so we'll work through that here over the next week or two.
For sure, about 4 months
you
out.
learn the most about a quarterback? The interviews, the throwing, although Bryce isn't throwing.
Be honest, their tape tells us everything. I know it comes down to who's working out, and look, we want every kid to work out and throw, but they're throwing on air. Let's be real. And then they're throwing on air against wideouts they've really never thrown with. All right, so let's be realistic here.
That's true. They're throwing to receivers they have no chemistry with, and like he said, they're just throwing it in the air. But it is good to see these guys work out and do some different things. But it seems to me after listening to what Shane and Ballard has been saying, it's not only about their workouts; it's about all kinds of different things. So it's very interesting to see how this process is going to go.
They've all got plenty of tape to watch. That's where we're going to get a lot from it. I'll tell you where you get something from it is watching these media sessions. Watch how do they handle the media? How do they handle the week process? How do they handle the stress of what's going on? That just gives you a preview of what you're going to see when they get into our league.
Chris, the process.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to is like, man, obviously they're wanting these quarterbacks to be talented and things of that nature, but it seems like they're really emphasizing on mental toughness of these guys, like Ballard just said, how they're handling all this stuff. It'll be interesting to see how these different processes and these prospects go.
Process doesn't start now. You guys are year long looking at people. The board, I know that's better kept than Colonel Sanders' recipe, but is it in flux? Can it change from here till the draft day?
It's the cement's always dry until draft day. We're constantly gathering information.
Cement's always dry until draft day.
And that's what we've always done.
Or cement's never
You guys
dry.
are 4 months.
Have been the last couple of years. How much do you get excited about this opportunity at the number 4 pick? Who knows? You may have your future star there. How much do you get excited about that?
Well, look, it took a lot of freaking pain to get there. But when you're there, you need to take advantage of it. I felt like last time we were up high in the draft, we did a really great job. And it's not just everybody focuses on 4. We also got high picks in every other round. And that's valuable.
When it comes to wide receiver, Paris had a good year, but he's a free agent. Ashton could move on. Is that another place that maybe we're overlooking as far as beyond Pitt and Pierce?
Resign? Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell deserves it.
We like both of those guys, and we think both of them are going to, they got really bright futures. But there's no question it's a place we need to, add some depth.
Chris, you're about 4 months out, not you, but Shaq is, from where the surgery, and that's about where he was last year when he came back and played. Do you have any idea, any better feel that this is different?
Not really. Just what I will say, it is different because we've made progress and he's made progress, but it's a day-by-day thing, and he just continues to work through it. We'll hope for the best. I know he's working hard and doing everything he can to get back right.
I know a back injury is a very serious injury to come, to recover and come back from, but it gets frustrating, man. I mean, let him get healthy. Sure, don't rush him back, but it's just frustrating, being one of my favorite players. And I mean, you could tell he was missed last year. I mean, the game he came back, I was there. I was in the stands. His first game back, he had a pick. I mean, the guy is a game changer, but I'm just a little nervous about, he's just got to get healthy. I mean, just let him get healthy. And linebacker is going to be a position too. Again, I'm going to make a video on free agency here coming up, because it's coming up. But you got linebacker could be an interesting choice of a draft pick. I mean, you got Leonard Hurt. You got, of course, I'm drawing a blank on all this, but you got Leonard Hurt. You got EJ Speed as a free agent. You got Bobby Okereke as a free agent. So I think I'll get into that for a different video, but yeah. Anyways, getting off topic.
Is there anything you learned about Shane over the last 2 weeks that you thought you would learn, or maybe anything that surprised you?
He's all ball now. I think you probably got that in your questioning now. He is all ball, which I like. Look, he's very thorough. He's very detailed. It's been fun to watch him, go through the interview process for his staff. And look, there's not a stone he's not going to turn to try to get the thing right. So that's been fun to see.
Chris, compared to previous years, did you do more in-person quarterback stuff in the fall and going to see games than you had in previous years?
I think more than normal. I think every year we try to get our eyes on the quarterbacks, and usually try to do it a year in advance. Usually we're not just studying these guys 1 year, we're studying for their careers. So, we've seen these guys, play a lot of football games live, not just this year, but in years past also.
Chris, you haven't deflected any of this quarterback talk. Do you have to come out of the first round, or at least the first couple of rounds, with a quarterback?
I think sometimes just how it works. Like, would I like to say, oh yeah, damn right I got to. But we know that's not how the draft works. It all depends on how things fall, who we like. A lot to be told between now and the draft, and a lot of work still to be done.
Shane wants to build the offense around the quarterback without necessarily knowing who it's going to be. Does that make it harder with player acquisition between now and then, whenever you have the answer there?
No, because I still think, I know everybody thinks we don't have any players. And that's a good thing. I want that narrative to keep driving down, because I still think Taylor's a really good player. I still think I still think Quentin Nelson's a really good player. I really like our tight end group. I think we got two really good wideouts. I still think Braden Smith is a really good freaking player. It's not like we're devoted. So, and I think it doesn't matter the scheme for those guys. I think Jonathan Taylor can play in any scheme. I think Quentin Nelson can play in any scheme. So I don't think that's.
Yeah. The Colts do have some really good players. I'm not saying the talk, 2 years ago was the Colts are just a quarterback away, and they had a good team, but they were not just a quarterback away, and they still aren't. But they do have some good, solid pieces that you can build on, and that's what Ballard's saying, and I believe that they will do a great job. Like he said, they have some very good high picks in other rounds. So, and I do expect him to trade back at some point. That's just what Ballard likes to do, and that's fine. Get you more guys. So we'll have to see as it goes, but I do agree. You have quite a few good pieces that you can build around.
That's not going to affect how we move forward.
When it comes to making this rookie quarterback work, what's kind of the role of the run game in, making it life a little easier on him coming, into the league? And does it change your thinking at all with, projecting forward with Jonathan Taylor and, possible contract?
Love Jonathan. No, it doesn't. We'll work through that as we go. I think Shane said it great when he said we're going to pass to score, run to win.
Chris, one quick question, sorry.
Yeah.
I know from a fan perspective, I know you say you'll stay at the 4 if you want to wait, but how much confidence should these fans have in the fact that if there's a guy you want at number 1, you'll do what you got to do?
Well, of course. Almost sometimes people act like we've just sat on our thumbs and all we've done is drafted. We've traded the 13th pick for DeForest Buckner. It's not like we haven't made big moves in the past. And if there's a player we believe in, like really believe in, then we'll do it. If we think the best thing for us is to stay at 4, then that's what we'll do. If we think the best thing is to move up to 3, then that's what we'll do. If they think it's 1, then that's what we'll do. But I think we'll work through that over time.
How do you feel about 4 right now?
Good. I think we'll get the best player in the draft, to be quite honest with you.
Why?
Because we're at 4. That's a great position to be in. I think at the end of the day, we're at 4. I like being at 4. I like being at 4. I think we're in a great position.
Okay. Give me one second. Sorry about that. Okay. Bring this back up here. Again, like I said, a little bit of a learning curve. Let's see. I'm not 100% sure how to bring the camera back up full. Stop share, I believe. Yep, see, told you. Learning curve. But I'll get it. All in all, I like what these 2 guys had to say. I feel Shane, like Ballard said, Shane he's in football mode, and it's going to be nerve-wracking to see what they do if they move up, if they stay, or if, gosh forbid, they trade back. Ballard does like his picks, but it'll be interesting to see here. Like I said, if anyone's interested in starting to watch my video podcast on YouTube, Conley on the Colts, you're more than welcome to continue to listen to the audio as well on wherever you're listening. That's more than fine. But if I'm just trying to expand different things for the podcast here and trying to learn as much as I can, getting my head around all this stuff. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you for the continued support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's see how this goes in the next few weeks. Again, I'll be making some more content. So thanks again, and let's go Colts.